Hey, how's everybody doing? Let me know if you can hear me. I'm trying to use these tonight because got a bunch of little ones, and they can be quite disruptive at times. So let me get a 5 by 5, 6, 2, 2, 3, whatever. If you can hear me, let's see. Everybody's in the house. Thank you. I said hi to most of you already. Uh, you should be hearing. Let's see. Haven't you seen one? Wow. Yeah, it's a boy. I'm just gonna say it like that. That's a boy. Because yeah, that's way too complex for my literacy capability at this moment in time. That, and of course, my glasses are out in the pickup truck because I take them where I need them. But hi, Teresa, thanks for being here. Stray Kitten, Blackbird, thanks for the 5 by 5. Dillbilly, good evening. If you've noticed, you probably saw something on here when you first came into chat that you probably never saw on anybody else's channel. And it said you must be a subscriber for at least 7 days. Yeah, because most of you, all of you, have been a subscriber for a lot longer than that. And you get tired of those people that don't pop in, hang out for 5 minutes and then just leave some BS, bother you guys. Doesn't really bother me because I just send them to the nether regions. But yeah, so I figured, hell, a week. And yes, live chat. And, it'll keep out the riffraff. And only the actual people who want to be here will be here. No harassment. So anybody you see chatting, they've been here at least a week. I remember at least a week. And I haven't been on for weeks. So there's that. Again, I apologize. I know I really need to do better. But as I said, I don't really get paid from YouTube. Like I don't get paid from YouTube. Pennies, pennies a year, something like that. I don't know. But I digress. Let's get back on track. Will you survive what's coming? If you noticed the thumbnail was a tsunami. Right now, it is in my opinion, and I am no economist, okay? Uh, I'm no fortune teller. I can only look at the past and see what's happened and then try to gauge what happened in the past as a result of certain things happening and see how they apply now and then say, okay, well, it's a strong likelihood that's going to happen again in the future. All right. So stay with me there. I'm not an economist. Haven't been in the military for a couple of years now. As most of you know, I retired, left that warrior past behind. Well, not the mentality, left that behind. But there are some things that are very concerning on the horizon. And Mark, I'm glad you started stacking silver. Uh, you're going to need it. You're going to need it sooner, I think, than you know. Okay. Sweet tea. Love my sweet tea. Average junior high student can see what's happened, what's coming. Yes, Lady Smith. But a lot of people don't understand why, and they don't understand. I was talking today with a gentleman, and I told him, he was worried about the election. I honestly think now this is just a possibility. It's not a certainty, just a possibility. But I think they're stacking everything up so that they can just dump it on Trump. All right, so that they can say, "Oh, let's toss him this ball," because we've all in our lifetimes when we were kids or sometimes played hot potato. Pass it around, pass it around, pass it around. Oh, the timer stops. Duck, duck, goose. Somebody's left without a chair when the music stops. Okay. And it could be a strong possibility that that is what is happening right now. And everybody's distracted by politics. Okay. The debates and everything else. But I've heard a couple people over the past month talk about the most important thing that actually happened so far this year. All right. Blue butterfly spam. Yeah. Um, does anybody know what I'm going to be talking about? If you do, just go ahead and drop it in the chat. But the most important thing you've heard, and John over Prepper Nation, we all love Prepper Nation. We all love John. But I've heard him mistakenly use the word petrodollar over the past couple weeks, a couple times. For any of you who do not know, the petrodollar was the fact that all countries around the world had to use the US dollar, the greenback, the Ben Franklin, to buy oil from Saudi Arabia and the OPEC nations. All right. They had to. That was an agreement. That's why people always say, why are we sending F-15s, F-16s, artillery, Patriot missile batteries to Saudi Arabia? Because we made an agreement with them. All right. And it's hard to find because if you Google petrodollar deal nowadays, the Google alphabet company will say there was never a signed deal. There was nothing. People are worried about nothing. But I even screenshot it because it took me a while to find it, but I found it. And I saved it as a screenshot so I could show you. Milestone Pact. It's hard to see with this light. I'll read it. Milestone Pact is signed by U.S. and Saudi Arabia, June 9th, 1974. So June 9th, 1974, we signed a deal, a 50-year deal with Saudi Arabia and then the OPEC nations that we would back, our petrodollar would be what was used by all countries to buy oil from the oil-producing nations. All right? If you didn't notice, and some people didn't, some people have no idea, the petrodollar died June 8th of this year because that was 50 years. And the Saudis said, we're not renewing your deal. So now you have countries all around the world that, what was the world reserve currency? The US dollar. Everybody said, oh, well, it's the world reserve currency. But why? Why? Because it was the only currency that could be used to buy oil. That's why. That means that right now there are dozens and dozens of countries, France, England, India, Germany, China, Indonesia, Japan, Canada, that all have vast surplus amounts of US dollars that were intended to buy oil. But now they don't need them. So what happened? There we go, Blackbird. It's coming, and it's coming faster than people think. So what happened during COVID when the U.S. government said, here's checks for everyone, and they just started pumping checks. Everybody was getting their checks. What do we see about a year later, 2 years? What are we seeing now? Inflation. Food double, triple the cost. Housing double the cost because there was a vast influx of US dollars into the economy. What's going to happen over the next 12 months as all those billions, probably trillions of US dollars come flooding back into home? America's chickens coming home to roost? We've heard that before. Yes, there is a tsunami of cash heading our way because they don't need it. What do they need it for? They don't need it as to buy oil anymore. All right. And you've been watching the BRICS. Somebody just said it in the chat. The BRICS nations starting to buy things in their own. Even before the deal was done, they were like, okay, maybe we can start making deals in this. And the Saudis, because they knew the deal was ending, they knew they weren't going to renew it, were like, okay, Russia, we'll take that money. Or okay, China, we'll consider taking your yen. Oh, that money's coming home. And when it finally does start to hit, the prices are not going to double. They're going to quadruple faster than you can blink an eye. All right. So you need to prepare now. You need to you need to stack food because food's going to become quite expensive. All right. All the things that we've talked about for years. Everybody's worried about, oh, well, the economy's fine. Okay. Okay, you can live in la la land like most liberals, or you can live in reality. A glutton of excess money is never good for an economy. Never, ever. So it's a strong possibility that because most of the free world, uh, and by free world I mean us, are completely naive to the fact that this is actually happening and are so busy in politics, it would be as strong if I wanted to seize power in a nation. And we know the left really wants to control everything. Everything you say, do, read, think. They want to control it. The best way is to get rid of the other two parties. That's it. That's all. Well, in reality, there are only two parties in this country, and that's iffy. But to totally annihilate the one, totally annihilate the one. So if you made it look like, oh well, we really are trying to get reelected, but then all of a sudden, Orange Man gets reelected, and they know what's coming, and then this hits, who's it going to be dumped on? Well, it's your presidency, bro. You're the one that was here when the economy just completely collapsed. All right. The only thing that could possibly save uh, the semi normal standard of life that you and I have right now is all out warfare, because that's the only way you can kickstart the engine of the United States to keep people working, to keep prices down. Uh, Silver or lead. All right, that's what the mafia always said. You can have they'll offer you silver or they'll offer you lead, as in bullets. We'll kill you. You either take our money or we'll kill you. And since we no longer have the petrodollar to force everybody to do that, the last thing we have backing the U.S. dollar is the fear of the U.S. military. And I know there are lots of people, myself included, that go, "Oh, the U.S. military." Right now, nobody really gives a hoot about that. That's correct, but it doesn't take a drone joystick in Arizona doesn't care what the person behind the stick identifies as. It doesn't. If things get bad enough and go the way they will, someone is going to launch war, launch missiles, launch planes. And let me tell you, the machines of war, they're just machines. They don't care if you identify as a cat. As long as you don't piss on the control panel, it's going to operate just fine. They don't care if if you think that you're a man and you're not, or a woman and you're not. You push the button, the missile will launch. All right, it's not rocket science. It's weaponry use. Okay, so if they force us into war, that's the only way to kind of stop or slow down what's coming, to make people go, oh well, maybe you aren't going to dump all the dollars on the U.S. economy, but it's going to be bad either way. It's going to be horrible either way, because we're either going to have a massive world conflict, a global conflict, or we're going to have smaller regional ones due to economic collapse. Possibly a combination of those. All right, because think about it. Texas has the GDP of a small nation. All right, if all the politicians in the rest of the country are deciding that, oh well, we need to identify as cats and accept this and accept that, and print money and send money to you, pick a country, we'll send them money. The people of the great state of Texas might at one point in time just decide, we're not playing your game no more. All right, and we're leaving. And people, others around neighbors, Louisiana would be probably a good one to go with them. Arkansas, backwoods down there, those boys would probably go. People with the middle of the country, basically, everything that they need, that everybody else needs for food and oil, all right, would be like, we're done playing your game. And so you're going to have all these regional conflicts because the East Coast and the West Coast aren't going to want to lose their breadbasket, all right? The East Coast and West Coast would become like Russia, and the middle would be like Ukraine. Okay, they're like, yeah, no, you're not going anywhere. You're staying here, part of the Soviet states of America. But it's coming, okay? It's coming one way or another because there is no petrodollar. And no one's really talking about that. Pardon me, no one in the U.S. is talking about that. I was watching foreign news today. And guess what they were talking about? They were talking about that. And I was like, this is... everyone inside our borders just doesn't see it coming. It's crazy, all right? Price of fuel is going to go up, all right? Especially if they start trading in... What happens when all the money comes back and then the Saudis start saying the U.S. dollar is too devalued? The U.S. government, if they want to buy oil from us or the other OPEC nations, they need to use yen. They need to use the BRICS currency. Then what? Oh, we're screwed. We're screwed. I mean, right now they have enough surplus money to keep buying lots of farmland. And then what are we going to do? We're either going to have to confiscate all foreign-owned land. I mean, I'm not opposed to that. I don't think other countries should be able to come in and buy our land. We can't do it there. A lot of people will be like, oh, you can buy... No, most countries you can lease land for like 99 years, but very few other countries can you actually buy and physically own the land. That's a fact. He says they'll take gold if they can find it. All right, if they can find it. We can drill our own, but I mean, who's going to? I mean, I'm not going to get out there in the oil field and bust my hump for, $15 an hour, $20 an hour, when I could be making the same thing at Walmart. I mean, Buc-ee's restroom attendants make like $23 an hour. I'm not going to hump around in an oil field for $18 an hour, $20 an hour. Forget that. The oil field, the money that we used to make in... I made more in 2012 in the oil field, more per week than I do today. Think about that. 12 years later, and I make less money. And so does everybody I work with. Less money. We're not going to keep it up. We're not. What we got going on in chat? Fort Knox is empty. Yes, if anyone thinks that Fort Knox has gold in it, let me remind those individuals. The reason gold used to be stored at Fort Knox is because that's where the armored divisions were homed. Okay, that's the base that had the armies. They trained tankers there. It was surrounded by tanks. It was the armored divisions were in Fort Knox. That base is a ghost town now. There's like nothing there, really. There's some administrative posts, but there's really nothing there. I was there a couple of years ago, and it was a virtual ghost town. You think they're keeping all that gold there, just sitting there, and they just took all the soldiers away? No, that building it's empty as Sleepy Joe's head. Okay, so there's that. See, KB, you were there in 2012. Was it almost a ghost town then? I'm pretty sure it was a ghost town when I was there. I can't remember how long ago that was. Dynamite says, it is in vain, sir, to extenuating the matter. Gentlemen may cry, peace, peace, but there's no peace. The war has actually begun. The next gate that sweeps from the north will bring to our ears. Yeah. He likes quoting things. Same place as I was. Okay. Were we in the same unit, KB? At some point in time? Probably. KB, I can't think of who that would be. Might be Keith. Is that Keith? Yeah, might be. Single parent survival says use a hardworking man. Respect. I try. I try. I do the best I can with what I got, and I'm just too stubborn to stop. I try that. I am drinking sweet tea. I have not had a drop of liquor in. Let me see. Oh, it would have been about a month and a half, 2 months ago. I went to the Ginger Billy show up in Pittsburgh, and that dude is funny. That dude is funny. It was great. OTS. Okay, OTS. I have a old soldier buddy of mine that his initial are KB. I didn't know if that was him. Okay, Kathy. Okay. Copy that. Roger that. But he and I, we're old friends that, we don't really talk very often. Soldiers. This is how soldiers are. Okay. Soldiers, Marines, sailors. We'll have an army buddy or military buddy. And if we don't see them for years, it's no big deal. But then if we need somebody will randomly call you up on a phone. Like, hey, bro, it's me. And it's like, oh, man, how you been? It's like time stood still that whole time. All right. And that's just the way it is. Because we understand we're nomadic creatures and we have other missions that we have to focus on. But yes, we are headed towards economic collapse and or war. Probably a weird hybrid combination of those things, but it is coming. So cash is king. Well, like I said in the chat earlier, the king is dead. The king is dead. Long live the king. So you're going to want to stack other things that can be sold for other currencies, whether it be Mexican pesos, Canadian dollars, if their shit stays stable while ours goes the way of the dodo. BRICS currencies. I don't know. The best things for that, frankly, are typically gold, silver, or you can buy foreign currencies. Okay, you can buy yen and just put them in a safe deposit box. You'd have to Google where you can do that in your area. I don't know where you are, but I know, like at the Pittsburgh International Airport, I can go up there to the currency exchange and exchange my currency for any currency in the world, for the most part. All right. So there are ways to do that. Lots of people think the dollar's the dollar. The Iraqis thought the same thing about the Iraqi dinar, and then we invaded. It collapsed. We changed their currency virtually overnight. Okay, so there's that, and all the old currency was no good anymore. They had to have the new currency that was newly printed. I mean, look at in this country, or they called Confederate notes. Worth paper. That's it. Nothing. See, Stray Kitten saw a bank that says they buy and sell pesos. Yes, if you're in the southern states, it's not that difficult to find. Gold, silver, brass, and lead. Food and antibiotics. Yes. Because if we go through a Great Depression, all right, like a Dust Bowl era, where like people don't think about it, but during the Great Depression, during the Dust Bowl, people starved to death in this country. All right, literally to death, starved, no food, starved to death, like a third world nation. Especially in the event that there's a global or multiple regional conflicts where supply lines are interrupted. All right, where it takes a wheelbarrow full of cash to buy a loaf of bread. You will need to change your mindset, because frankly, the only thing that thrived during those periods was organized crime. All right. So you've got to be willing to do probably things you thought you wouldn't be willing to do in under a normal situation. But when you realize that, and you come to the mindset that people that you considered, or that the government considers Americans, countrymen, put you in that predicament, you'll start to have less sympathy, less mercy. All right. Like that movie Civil War. Well, what type of American are you? All right. Because as we know, there are a lot of people out there that shouldn't be voting, and a lot of people that are on the government tit. Well, the government might have the tit, but it doesn't produce the milk. People like you and I produce the milk. And when we get tired enough of them draining us, and if when SHTF does happen, all right, they're still going to be demanding our stuff. And you're going to have option A and option B. Option A is that they come and take your stuff. Option B is you just put them in the ground before they even get to your stuff. All right. So there's that. Let me hop in the chat real quick, see what's going on here. See, most banks in Texas. Oh, you're all the way down in Texas. Hot damn. Exchange pesos. Call me crazy. I think silver will go over $1,000 an ounce. I don't know about 1,000. It depends on gold. It all depends on gold. Normally, you can track how high gold will go based off of how high silver will go based off of how high gold will go. All right. For example, it's normally like 60 pieces of silver, 60 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold, which right now it hasn't caught up yet. All right. It's still a bit off, but it fluctuates between 50 to 60 ounces of silver for an ounce of gold. Historically. But gold's going to go up. I mean, and we've talked about this before. If you look, gold right now, what, 2,300 an ounce? So 10 ounces would be $23,000. You figure if you looked at 1950s, it would take you 10 ounces of gold at $20 an ounce to buy a new basic car. Well, the same thing happens now. It still takes you 10 ounces of gold to buy that car. It's just the fake currency attached to the gold is all out of whack. All right. So the dollar is freaking crazy. But gold and silver always hold their value. And that's why it doesn't matter if the dollar collapses, if Mexico invades and we start using the peso, you just trade your gold for pesos. I mean, you move to Canada with your gold, or Mexico with your gold, or the Bahamas, or Brazil, or wherever. Pick someplace and just go there. Oh, well, I can't go there. People walk through the Darien Gap to get here. Yes. So if they can, so can you. Except it'd be probably better for you to have a pocket full of gold coins than have nothing but a backpack with some bread and old beef jerky in it. Just saying. Judas wanted silver. That's how far back it goes. Yes, single parent survival. Yes, that's how far back it goes. If you have any question on whether people, you can't eat gold and silver, no, but you can buy lots of shit to eat with it. All right. So when people say that, I'm like, you're an idiot. I can't fix you. Sorry. Yes, you can't eat gold and silver, but you can buy a lot of shit you can eat with it, and that goes all the way back to then. All right. I mean, that's saying something. Judas wanted 30 pieces of silver. There you go. 2,000 years. And it goes back further. It goes back further than that, but that's a good example. That's a good example. Oh, sorry, Blue Butterfly. I understand. I hope your eye feels better. Robert Winslow said, been to the Darien Gap. The triple canopy. Howler monkeys and snakes. Triple canopy. That's, hold on. I know where. Yeah, basically Bolivia. What is it? What are those three countries? I can't think of them. But yeah, I know the Triple Canopy, South America. Uh, Dorothy Silvershoes is what she flew home on. There you go. Blades and Fades. Yep, canning. Food. 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 Buy food now. See, all the people that bought food 3 years ago and are just now getting ready to start using it. Good. Good. Look how cheap your meals are based if you were buying it now. But as long as you can hold out, the longer you can hold out, the better for you. So the more you can stack, the better to get you through those hard times, because there's going to be times coming when you either have food or you don't have food, or you start running out and you don't know where you're going to get it. Okay, and you might have to do things you don't want to do. Me, I don't care. I don't care anymore. I was a professional invader for the U.S. military for 20 years. I'll just use that same shit here against the domestic enemies. Enemies, foreign and domestic. Oh, I've just been waiting for that part. I got the foreign part. Been waiting for a chance to do the domestic part. So yeah, I'm like Santa. I'm like Auntie Claus, like Krampus. I got a list. I'm checking it twice. I know who's naughty. And yeah. Oh yeah. Anyway, how's everyone doing? Anything else you guys want to talk about? Because I'm telling you, those are the first things we talked about. It's coming. War and economic collapse. All right. War could keep us going long enough to force other nations to, well, allow us to default. Because right now we're spending over $1 billion a day. $1 billion a day just to pay interest payments to other countries, to foreign countries. Most of it, a lot of it going to China. I won't say most of it, but a lot of it going to China. $1 billion a day. Think about that. They were saying on some foreign news agencies that within the next 10 years, we will be 102%. Our debt will be 102% of our GDP, our annual gross domestic product, the highest of any nation in the history of the world. And they don't see how we're going to pay it back. All these foreign governments are saying that. They are saying that about our country. How long until they just cut their losses and say, forget about them, let them fold, let them cave, and we'll go in and pick up the pieces after they eat each other? How do we protect our kiddos when the time comes for us to fight? That's a good question. Rule one, don't shit where you eat. All right? Don't fight where your kids are. Don't launch your operations. Don't plan your operations. Don't do anything operational wise where your kids are. Have two separate locations. All right? In times of conflict, it's not uncommon for soldiers to completely go away from their home areas, all right, and not go there. Because why? Well, we see what the U.S. military does. We'll come for you at home, all right? It's just like law enforcement. They will come for you at home. And they'll do it when your kids are there, just so you put up less resistance. So you stay where your kids aren't, all right? That way, one, they're safe, relatively speaking. Two, it also lets the enemy know, lets your opponents know, okay, he's going to be a hard target. He is most likely going to resist because he's got nothing to lose there. All right? So think about that. Yes, Washburn, the Lord says to rely on him. The Lord also doesn't, is going to say dig a hole. He's not going to do it for you. He's going to, give you the ability to pick up a shovel. All right. don't rely on, there's an old story about the guy was drowning, or the guy's area was flooded. The guy got onto a house and he prayed, Lord, save me, Lord, save me. And people came by in a boat. And he said, no, go away. The Lord's going to save me. I'm praying to the Lord. Then a helicopter came, and the helicopter said, get on. And he's, no, go away. The Lord's going to save me. I'm praying to the Lord. And the helicopter went away. Then the guy died. He got to heaven. He said, Lord, why didn't you save me? He said, I sent a fucking helicopter in a boat. What more do you want? You got to do the work. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that. Oh, I got to do something. I just can't. The Lord is not a genie. God is not your genie. You can't just, I wish I had $1 million. I wish I could defend I was safe from these bad guys that are coming down my driveway. The Lord's going to say, well, I gave you the Second Amendment. I mean, the rights came from me, right? You had the right to go out and buy all the stuff you needed to mow all them sons of bitches down on your driveway. But you chose not to. I gave you 2 neighbors a quarter mile down the road that are armed to the teeth. You could have made friends with them. What more did you want? So, okay, Washburn. Yes. But I hear a lot of people that say that. No, my T, it didn't work. It didn't work. I have to do the work myself. I have to put in the effort. But there's a lot of people that don't. There's a lot of people that won't. And there's a lot of people that use this word, I can't. And I don't get that. Whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, either way, you're right. You can. You just choose not to. Can I go over here and turn the switch and flip the lights off? Oh, I can. I'm not going to, because I don't want you all be able to not see me. You can. You're just choosing not to, regardless of what it is. Whether it's stacking silver, stacking gold, stacking prep, stacking ammo, buying a Ferrari. You can. If you want it bad enough, you will find a way. But most people don't, because most people are good, are happy just getting by. And you got to admit that to you. First, you have to admit that. If you can admit to yourself that, yeah, I'm a little bit lazy. That's the first step. There are lots of times when I don't want to do stuff. All right. I still do it. If it needs done. There's lots of times. People laughing over here. Yes, there are lots of times I don't want to. I do more things that I don't want to do than I do want to do. That's life. Okay. I can't get a job because I'm a felon, so I identify as a girl in DoorDash under another name. You can get a job as a felon, even if you identify as a girl, or if you don't, even better. But you can, because there are companies out there that love to hire felons because they get tax breaks from the government. Okay. One more load trucking. If you want to go get a CDL, there you go. One more load trucking out of 84, Pennsylvania. In fact, I know I have a couple of buddies that are over there because our company and their company work together once in a while on wells. And, excuse me, ex-felon. But I can tell you for a fact they hire felons because a friend of mine, and I won't say his name, was Jeffrey Dahmer's cellmate. Okay? Yes, that Jeffrey Dahmer. He was his cellmate up until some other people in that institution unalived him. Dahmer, that is. But yeah, and he still works there. I was talking to him a couple weeks ago. He's a cool cat. Don't come at him the wrong way, though. Come to Ohio on vacation, leave on probation. Western Express will hire you. There you go. Lots of, I mean, construction people, construction companies, blue collar jobs. Blue collar jobs. Now, there are some that won't. Sheets will not hire felons. They're going to federal court right now. Somebody's challenging that. I didn't even know about that. I heard about it on some channel that Sheets was fighting that for some reason. But in today's day and age, we are the most incarcerated nation on the planet. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, well, Saudi Arabia or China, or no, we are like 1 out of 7 males, and it's like 1 out of 11 or 12 females will be incarcerated in the United States in their lifetime. Think about that. That's astronomical. We have so many laws. It's ridiculous. And most of them don't really, they're not about justice. They're about money, about income, revenue for the machine. What the heck is a vacation? Yes, I am currently on my first vacation in a while, and it's not really a vacation. It's I got kids summertime with dad, so there's that. Anyone who has DEI values but won't hire felons to say the lawsuit waiting to happen. Yes, exactly. Use their stuff against them. Yes, RDNK. 90% of the guys you worked with in the oil field were felons. There were a lot. And that's one of the things I like about the oil field is that it's still one of those places where people joke crudely, but are respectful, because how you talk and what you say still has consequences in real time. Okay? And sometimes you get people like us, like me, and other oil field workers that come and have to interact with corporate types. And that's when things usually go sideways. All right. That's why I wasn't allowed to work with a certain company a few months back, because the one company man was terrified of Rob. I didn't actually do anything. I was just like, I want to talk to that dude. And they were like, oh yeah, you can't come back here because he's scared of you. I'm like, what a puss. Anyway, of course, my brother was talking to him. They were like, we told you not to mess with him. We told you don't mess with Rob. He's crazy. I'm like, I'm not crazy. Well, maybe not a little. I'm not insane. A little bit crazy, but that's okay. Teresa, what are you laughing about? That's messed up. Like, I didn't work for like 3 weeks because dude was terrified of me. I mean, that impacted my wallet. All right. And I was like, okay, learn from this. Don't scare the company guys. All right. Don't do it. I'll find some other way to get my point across. Oh. Yeah, well, they do random on-site randoms now. RDNK. Yeah, randoms. Like, they just pop up on site with a little van talking about peeing the cups. Everybody line up. Nobody leaves the site. Yeah. Watchman says, our job is to tell the truth and be peaceful in doing so. Who among us is righteous? I can't see what's behind that logo. I don't like that logo being there because I can't see it. Copy. I understand. I get it. Peaceful to an extent. Remember that Constantine and his little minions were trying to create a book by leaving things in and putting things out in order to make a more compliant population throughout their kingdoms. Okay? That's fact. So when people are like, well, the Bible says, and a lot of people are taking the word of Emperor Constantine. Was it Constantine? think it was Constantine. Whoever held the Council of Nicaea, that guy. It's late. But yeah, so you're just doing what the king wanted you to do. You got to read more books. You got to figure out what it was exactly they were saying. There's that. And anybody who says that that is not the case is misinformed and uneducated. All right. There you go. Jesus had the right singer when he whipped Pharisees. Yes, he braided a whip when he went into the money changers. Braided a whip. Oh, he didn't just, like I said before, he didn't just show up with that and go, "Oh, look, I got a whip, guys." No, he went in there and cracked ass. Why? Trust me. If a man sits down on the steps in the Middle East in the middle of the day, it's 115 degrees. All right, and he's braiding a whip and sweating. And they're doing jacked up shit in his father's house, and he's just braiding and braiding and braiding. Trust me, he's using that when he gets in there. All right? All right. Yes. Yes, God has commanded us in many times to strike down the enemy. Yeah. Yep. When they say he who is without sin cast the first stone, they're talking about believers, okay? There's a whole different stuff about the other people that aren't, all right? So there's that. Now, yeah, a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, that don't say this in my Bible." You need to read it more. You need to practice comprehension. There you go. We do not agree on everything, but we agree enough on most. Is that you do matter. You do matter. Don't ever think that you don't matter. You are a believer. You believe that there is only one God. Right? God of Abraham. Then you matter. Because if you weren't here, that means the followers of the guy downstairs, there'd be one more of them than there is of you. Okay? You matter. We need as many believers as we can get. Okay? You don't have to believe exactly as I believe. You don't. Good, close enough. Good enough for government work, we always used to say. All right? You're on this side. You know, if it's me and two other people and there's 10 adversaries over there and you're coming, you matter. You matter. You're that extra. You could be the turning point. And that's just not you, Washburn. That's all of you. You matter. All right? Your voice matters. Even if you only speak to your friends, your relatives, your neighbors, what you say matters. Make them hear you. Okay? Yes, there you go, Mark Smith. I come not to earth to bring peace, but a sword. And I did not come to abolish the laws, but to enforce them. Fulfill, enforce, language differences in English to the old languages. Yes, so remember that. Did not come to abolish the laws. Well, thank you all for being here. It's been a while. I hope to get on here again real soon. I appreciate each and every one of you being here. All right. 34 thumbs up. That's pretty good. Yes. I see most of you agree that the U.S. government is our biggest threat. And some people said China. But yeah. The U.S. government, China, as long as Sleepy Joe's in office, it's the same thing. But you didn't hear that from me. All right. I appreciate. I'll some of this. I'm gonna try to do another live soon. Appreciate you, Blades and Fades. Everybody else in the house, I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Y'all have a good night. God bless, and keep safe till next time we see each other. I'm out.